Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. Well, today my inbox has been blowing up. Tons of people wanting to know what I know, if anything, or have I seen any of the new evidence regarding Obama's origin of birth. And, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday I seen a video from Jordy, also known as Obamaphiliac. He's got a ton of different channels. I seen a video from him regarding this. And then today I seen a video from Colonel Kerry, but I've not really dug into it. Although, to be honest with you, I've always known that he was born in Kenya. So, I mean, no big shock to me. Listen, before everybody calls me a birther, let's be honest about this. Let's just throw this out there. Obama literally is the least vetted president that we've ever had in the history of the United States of America. Least vetted. Not only least vetted, but I really do think that some of the liberal media actually conspired to hide certain information because they really, really wanted him to become president. And legally wasn't eligible to be president. It's just that simple. But I'm going to get to what I have. I have a theory that I'm going to call the Kenyan Harvard theory. But I'm going to float that in a little bit. But let me address this first off. For those of you who do not know what's going on, apparently, when Obama wrote his first book, his literary agent sent out press releases to the bookstores and whatnot, and out to the world in general. Basically doing what agents do, promoting you in a lot of ways. I'm pretty sure it was his literary agent. It could have been his manager. Either way, doesn't really matter. Well, these press releases clearly said that Obama was Kenyan-born, Harvard-educated, yada, 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 in his personal bio. Well, since the first one came out, then, of course, the spin machine had said, well, no, that was a typo. Well, now they've uncovered a lot of these things to different places and clearly describing him as basically a Kenyan import. Now, Colonel Kerry made the point that you don't know with this guy because he's a liar. If he thought he could sell more books or if he thought it would get him somewhere, he would, of course, call himself a Kenyan. Because it did have, listen, it's the American dream. You're born in some, grass hut in Kenya, and you make it to the United States, and you become successful. And at that time, he was successful. He was a Harvard grad. Successful on just about anybody's measure, to be honest with you. So, I think the story was a good story to sell books. Not such a good story if you're running for president, because the law states clearly that you have to be a natural-born citizen. You can't just become a citizen. You have to be born here. So that became a problem. And at some point, I think that he thought maybe he would run for president. And so they started to bury all that stuff, literally. Just bury it. And, and of course, the media being culpable in this whole fraud, just really decided not to vet him. The only people that were vetting, the only media sources that were vetting Brock at the time was Fox News and maybe some of the AM radio like Rush Limbaugh and, those people. Savage and whatnot. Listen, I'm not shocked about any of this. I'm not shocked about it. I'm only shocked that it's taken 4 years for this stuff to start creeping out. Literally, that's the only shock. Now, here's my my Kenyan Harvard theory, because I thought about this literally 4 years ago. 4 years ago when we were all told that, well, a couple of things. I'm not even going to talk about the birth certificate. I'm just going to talk about Harvard. 4 years ago when we were told that, Barack Hussein Obama was this great Harvard scholar, this constitutional law genius, this editor of the Harvard Review, which, by the way, has a lot more impressive. The name editor of the Harvard Law Review is a lot more impressive than the actual job. It's literally it's a club. The Harvard Law Review is a club. Just like if some of you remember, even in high school, belonging to the ski club or the speech club, or whatever the hell club, But it does, for whatever reason, I think maybe because the left-wing media has kind of put this Harvard Law Review thing up on a pedestal. It does kind of have an impressive title. President of the, Harvard Law Review. It does sound impressive, but it's just a club. That's all it is. But anyway, I remember they were telling us how brilliant this guy is. Just absolutely brilliant. We, blessed that this guy wants to be president of the United States. But yet we couldn't see his Harvard transcripts. We couldn't see anything from Harvard. Couldn't see how he paid for school, who paid for school. Couldn't see anything. Total blackout. It was like it was a top secret. It was like it was the secret to, some kind of defense secret for the United States. Somebody, like it was like the formula for anthrax, and and if you do it, if it got out, then it could endanger the whole world. I mean, it was great. At that time, I said to myself, if this guy's that smart, why wouldn't he want to show his transcripts? Now, a lot of people theorized that, well, it's because he's not that smart, and they didn't want, that to get out. A lot of people thought if that got out, he wasn't that smart, then how does this guy get into Harvard? Well, Harvard needed to have a token minority, or they needed to stack that. I mean, he's clearly a good speaker, but so am I, but don't ask me to do calculus. Well, I don't know that I'm that great of a speaker, but I think I'm fairly competent. But here's the thing, okay, barring that he's not that bright, why wouldn't they let out his info from Harvard? I mean, they literally went back to Mitt Romney's prep school beatdown of some kid. You know how many fights I got in high school? Tons of them. So Romney gets in a fight, cuts some kid's hair. They tried to tie it into some kind of a gay bashing event. But they're literally going back to high school with Romney, but yet with Brock. His Harvard transcripts, every little bit of information, other than the fact that he went to Harvard, it's all top secret. You can't see none of it. Well, I have a theory. Here's my theory. I'm gonna float this theory. I don't know if I'm right or not. You can let me know in the comment section what you think. I think the reason that they have not released and will not release anything from Obama's time at Harvard is kind of like the Elizabeth Warren situation. Okay, well, I believe that Harvard had him down as an immigrant from Kenya. And I believe that all the documents that he put pen to paper on substantiated that. He was a Kenyan import. He was an immigrant from Kenya. Not uncommon for our Ivy League schools to be educating foreigners. That happens all the time. Toledo, University of Toledo's got probably, I'll say the Middle Eastern students probably outnumber the born in America students. Let's put it that way. So there was a problem. Harvard obviously wants their alums to become presidents. I mean, you get that whole thing with Harvard. I think Princeton has more former U.S. presidents than Harvard. It's a very prestigious thing to be able to say that you have a president of the United States that came from Harvard. And Harvard being predominantly hardcore progressive liberal. Listen, nobody needs to argue with me on that because it's just a fact. 98% of their professors are claimed to be liberal. Registered Democrats, dyed-in-the-wool progressive liberals. Okay, so to be honest with you, most liberals are open border people anyway. So to them, that whole pesky law of, well, you've got to be born in the United States, to them, yeah, you know what? We've outgrown that. Along with the Second Amendment and all the rest of that stuff, we've outgrown that. We've evolved since that nonsense. So to them, hiding the fact that Obama was from Kenya, no big deal. Literally, no big deal. And Elizabeth Warren already proves that they're very lax. They don't check anything anyway. But I mean, for the most part, I think at some point, the powers that be at Harvard, I think at some point, they're like, you know what, we got a problem. It looks like Barack Obama may actually get a nomination or may actually be running for president, has a chance. But we've got a problem here because it clearly states on all of our records that he's from Kenya. That's a problem. So what do we do about that? Well, seal him. Seal all that. And the fact that the media hasn't demanded, they didn't demand 4 years ago, and they're not demanding it now, to see those Harvard transcripts blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. I mean, they're all willing to tout the fact that he was, supposedly this great constitutional scholar and how he was the president of the Harvard Law Review. You know, they'll use that all day long. But they won't let you they won't even remotely insist that we get to see his transcripts. And why is that? I think the majority of the media is culpable here. I really do. Honestly, God, I really do. Unfortunately, our media, as we all know, is overwhelmingly staffed with radical left-wing nut jobs. Literally. I mean, with the exception of Fox, and truthfully, with the exception, you know, people can say what they want about CNBC. But trust me, no. Other than Rick Satori or Satelli, no. You look at Jim Cramer. He is unabashedly a liberal. He'll tell you flat out he's a big Brock supporter. You know, no. For the most part, as long as if they've got any kind of opinion, it slants to the left. So other than Fox and you know, some of the Republican or right wing radio, nobody is demanding to see anything. They're all basically on board with this open borders. So he was born in Kenya. Oh, and you know, and here's the thing too. I knew there was something up when somebody would say something like, well, you know what? Can we see your birth certificate? Oh, you're a birther. They came up with this whole birther name to kind of like to demonize and make fun of the person who said, hey, you know, kind of like to see this guy's birth certificate. I mean, it is our law. You know, and then they denied. I know well, he showed all of his birth certificates, blah, 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 blah. And then it wasn't until Donald Trump came out and said, look, I'm not stupid. I went to Wharton School of Business. In fact, I graduated towards the top of my class. And no, he did not show his birth certificate. And it wasn't until he wouldn't be shut up. Because every time they would come at Donald Trump, call him a birther, he'd push harder. And then finally they concocted this long-form birth certificate, which, to be honest with you, everybody who has half a brain knows that thing is flat out a forgery. Flat out a forgery. But, you know, you can't say these things because, oh, well, you're a birther. You're a crazy birther. I mean, you know, seriously? Now, here's the thing. Okay. I'm going to save this little tidbit for the very last of this video, because I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this. My niece was born in Japan. Both her parents, my brother and my sister-in-law, were both in the United States Marine Corps. Now, she was not born on a military base. She was actually born in Tokyo at a Japanese hospital, as far as I know. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, she should be eligible to be president of the United States. Okay, now some people might argue that she wasn't born in this country. She wasn't born on quote unquote, you know, sovereign. You know, considering if you remember the whole thing with McCain the last election, he was born on a military base, and the argument was, hey, we respect military bases as part of our own soil. But you know what? My niece wasn't born on a military base. She was born off a military base. So there would be people who would say, hey, she's not qualified or not eligible, which I say bullshit. Now, Barack Obama's mother was a citizen of the United States. Okay, and whether she was in Kenya when she squatted him out or not makes no difference to me. As far as I'm concerned, she didn't denounce her citizenship. As far as I'm concerned, he should be eligible to be president. I know a lot of people right now are going, what? What did you just say? Hey, but my problem is the cover-up. My problem is the cover-up. That's what makes him ineligible. That is exactly what makes him ineligible, because the American people did not have that information. It was withheld from them for all the wrong reasons. That's my problem there. So, you know, and I've heard people say, well, who cares if he was born in Kenya? I don't care that he was born in Kenya. I don't. His mother was a U.S. citizen. As far as I'm concerned, he's eligible to be president. But once you start deceiving the American people on that level, no. I'm sorry. We should have had the information. We should have been able to debate. And Harvard, you should be ashamed of yourself for hiding this. And no, Barack Obama, you should be ashamed of yourself for allowing Harvard to hide your records. You're so smart. You're so smart. Let it out there. What are you hiding? I think I know what you're hiding. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Everybody, let me know in the comment section what you think. I know that little last bit will probably piss some people off, but, you know, this isn't a popularity contest for me. Anyway, that's all I got for you. See ya.